today in the studio, folks, for the second time. Had to bring him back. He was so freaking funny the first time. John D. Domenico. What's cracking?
Yeah, baby.
If you guys don't remember this guy, man, go look at the episode before where he was on. It was hilarious. Corporate entertainer, character actor, Trump impersonator. You do a lot of impressions.
Do a lot of impressions. I even brought my list, because I've been.
Dude,
I forget.
You're like probably the busiest and most hired, character actor out there, right?
Yeah, right now it's been a great period of time coming, even during the pandemic. I know a lot of people suffered, but I was very lucky and was out there and putting my stuff out, and it was coming back, and I was getting bookings and voiceover work and a TV show that I worked on for Fox, Let's Be Real, and my corporate clients. So I made it through.
Dude, you sometimes embody the characteristics of your characters on accident, don't you?
Right. I always
like you just did a Trump thing.
Right. I just started doing the Trump thing. Yes. It's very physical. It's very physical. And as soon as I walked in your office, Maria, is it Maria? What is she? Filipino? Is she Filipino? What is
Guamanian.
she? Guamanian. Guam. I love the Guamanian people. I'm very big in Guam. Very big. I love the Guam people. Great people, the Guam people. A lot of people don't know that. But I came in, she did an instant interview with me as soon as I walked in. So that was kind of a good prep for us right now.
Hey, Donald, what do you think is going to happen with Biden in the presidency?
Well, Biden's not really the president. In my mind, I've always been president and I always will be president. So I'm just on a little break right now. August 1st, I'm back in because Mike Lindell, my pillow. By the way, great pillows, tremendous pillows.
Who is that guy?
Mike Lindell. He's a former crack addict who started a tremendous company. It just shows you anybody can turn their life around. Chapter 2. Oh. He's done a great job. He's doing a lot of pillows he sells, but other items too.
So you embody those characteristics when you're just being yourself sometimes because you're other characters so often.
Right. You start inculcating things, I did Austin Powers and, which is a Mike Myers character, but I've been working on Al Pacino. Yeah, Al Pacino. Now it's really big, because she's got a great ass. You look for these characters. Where's the physical? For me, it's not just the vocal impression. Like, where's the physicality of the, like someone like Bill Clinton, hey, how you doing? Good to see you. Hey, hey, have you seen Hillary? I haven't.
But you're not just an impressionist either.
Oh no, I trained as an actor in New York and did a lot of theater and if you actually
But you are an actor.
I am an actor. I'm a trained actor.
You're a trained thespian.
Trained thespian in New York City. I did a lot of off-Broadway, work.
Well, if you could pick, like, what would it be? You could pick one medium.
That's probably the problem with me because I want to do everything. I want to be in it. I want to make it. I want to write it. I want to edit it. I want to have the overall. And it's, that's one of those things with somebody like me with ADHD. I just want to do everything. And when I do sit down and I do focus, that's when I'm like the most productive and I go in one lane specifically.
Well, like my dad always used to tell me, want in one hand and shit in the other. See which one fills up first. So out of all the things you want to do, if you could only pick one, which one would it be? I mean, like as an actor.
As an actor, what I would...
Movies, TV, television, sitcom.
Probably a television show.
Rom-com.
Yeah, rom-com. I'm best when I can do a bunch of stuff. So if it was a sketch comedy show, like we were doing with Let's Be Real, but real people, where I can be a bunch of different characters in 30 minutes.
So like a skit show.
Yeah, like a Mad TV. I love that kind of stuff. I love having to crash learn a voice or, the physicality of something and the writing of that and how sometimes it can be either evergreen or really immediate. That's the beauty of sketch comedy.
Who's the dude on Seinfeld that you most look like?
Oh, Jason Alexander.
Yeah, Jason Alexander. Yeah. Now, if like that route, like, boom, he became, what's his name on that show?
George Costanza.
Yeah, he's George Costanza.
Oh, I would take that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, you wouldn't like that to me as an actor, like, fuck, that's what I want. I don't want to fucking do your skits and your voices. Like, give me a fucking role and pay me tons of dough.
Tons of dough.
And then more importantly, let me be famous. Why famous? Because with attention
comes opportunities.
Comes money.
Money and opportunities. Yeah, you can do a lot more.
Are they separate?
No, they're not actually.
Money and opportunities follow attention.
Right.
So like if someone said, "Hey Brad, you're going to be in this Spielberg movie that's going to be best movie of the year, da 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 da." That's movie star. A Seinfeld role, a big one like fucking Jason Alexander's, like Costanza,
right,
or Kramer, or any of those. That's TV. And then there's theater. That's where you're famous, but just on Broadway,
right, or in the regional theater world. Yeah, and that's
so
really hard.
What would you pick?
Oh, I would pick that. If it could be a network. One of the things I'm always wanting is I want a network television show.
So
that's
so
what
out
I would
of
be,
all
like
those,
a sitcom, a 30-minute sitcom on network, because
for
what's
10
happening
seasons.
now, oh my God, at this point, one season would be
dude,
great.
Netflix is freaking hurting for content.
They are. And a lot of things are being rushed into production right now because COVID's over and people are, things are just opening up so fast. So they're greenlighting a lot of stuff. So I'm spending time out in LA, auditioning, meeting with people, trying to make things happen. That's the goal.
Is everybody most interested in, hey, do Trump?
Of course.
Doesn't that
people
bother you?
love, no, because it's a great entree. It's a great way in. And if they can see that I can do other voices and other things, and I can actually act, I can, have human emotion.
The last time you were on this episode, or the last episode you were on, I had freaking haters unfollow because the Trump thing. And I'm thinking to myself, dude, this dude's clearly a freaking comedian, actor, freaking impressionist, freaking, it's not actually Trump. But people were saying because I put you on there that I'm Trump supporting. And I said,
really?
Yeah. And I said, everyone's like, dude, you're getting unfollowed. And I said, who gives a fuck?
Right.
Like,
if I do Guy Fieri, would they unfollow because of Guy Fieri?
If you're gonna unfollow me, because even if I like Trump or don't like Trump, you're gonna unfollow me because I don't like Trump. You're gonna follow me because I do like Trump. You're gonna unfollow me no matter what.
Right.
As soon as I piss you off or offend you in any way. So guess what? Who gives a fuck, dude?
Right.
And number one, I think we were saying it earlier. If someone watched your content, they wouldn't necessarily think you're pro-Trump.
Right. And I have people who,
are you pro-Trump or against Trump?
I'm neutral. I don't want to be on either
You're Switzerland.
side. I'm a performer. I'm a satirist.
Are you worried that if you were to say you're a Trump supporter and the industry knew, you would be
not in the, I wouldn't care about the industry.
No. The question I
hear your question coming a mile away.
My question is, does Hollywood stifle Trump supporters? Meaning if I'm in the movie business and, the majority finds out, oh, you're a Trump supporter, bam, you're fucking blackballed. We don't want you in this. I don't think that's the case. What about the opposite? If you're a Trump supporter, does that, hater, does that get you any prestige?
I don't think it's, here's my feeling. That's an external thing. Internally, I'm like an old school performer. I was brought up watching Ed Sullivan. My goal is to entertain an entire audience. So when I was doing the show,
you're a pure artist.
I would like to think that I'm here to entertain everybody. If I'm entertaining half the audience that's pro-Trump or half the audience that's anti-Trump, then I'm just kind of, you and I talked about Alec Baldwin before and his performance of Trump. He can't stand Trump, and you can see his disdain come through the performance. I don't want to do that. I'm not here to give anybody my
Trump's
political
way
agenda.
Better than everybody.
Well, thank you so much. But see, my goal.
If I were on a phone call, dude, you could actually fucking get me with Brad is Trump. I wouldn't know, dude. Your mannerisms and your I don't even know what you call them. The tonality that is freaking like. It's right in there. It's right in there. I have to tell you. But I love your show. I love dropping bombs. I drop bombs all the time, but I get, You're actually the only president that hasn't dropped bombs. That's true. Peace. I'm all about peace. Yeah. I'm all about and getting a peace too. Well, sure. You got. We were talking about that. You got to grab them by the pussy. That's right. Now you said that. Yes, I did. Dude, back in those days, listen, I just got to say to people, because nowadays everybody's offended, it seems. And you know, listen, I do not support in any way, you know, obviously abuse of any kind, male or female. Like, I'm against it all. But when you heard the tape of him and Billy Bush, he was kind of using a bad analogy as I mean, he wasn't presidential, that's for sure, but it's a bad analogy. You know, they just let you grab him by the pussy. What he was saying is, once you're a celebrity and you're rich and you're freaking celebrity, dude, girls will throw themselves at you.
Right.
That's what he meant. He was just thinking it's a private conversation between him and a dude, and he's trying to be cool. And he says, you know, they'll do anything.
Right.
You can just grab him by the pussy.
And you've heard these stories before from other huge celebrities, you know, Johnny Depp, all these people. They always say women just throw themselves. They sneak into hotel rooms. You sneak into homes.
Yeah, but you don't need Johnny Depp to confirm it. Like, we all know it.
Yeah.
Okay. And guess what? Vice versa. Like, dudes, let's tell the truth. Like, dudes are even nuttier.
Here's the funniest thing I thought
But
about.
a celebrity gets the freaking girls crazy, and that's all he was saying. But dude, they took it and ran with it. Now, are you worried about that kind of negative press if you ever get caught like freaking, you know, anything wrong? Are you worried about like freaking the whole world hating you?
No. I'm so under the radar.
Like really? Scott Baio, they say, you know, he was humping the girl that was on that show, and you know, now you see comments about it. It's like, dude, poor Scott Baio.
Well,
or poor girl, I don't know, but
yeah, anybody, you can start a rumor now about anybody. You know what I mean? It's really, it's horrible. It's hard. We're in a really weird time. And I always think it's interesting. You're on Twitter. I'm on Twitter, all these platforms. Well, somebody comments.
I'm only on Twitter when I'm on the shitter.
Yeah, I'm not on that much, but I'm always amazed by people who make one comment and you're like, who the hell is it? You know, and they have like one follower or two followers. You're like, thanks, no persona non grata saying something. I just find it, you know, we've democratized these platforms, and unfortunately anybody can say anything, you know. But if you know me personally, you know who I am and my integrity and how I interact with people.
But you have no fear of the masses.
I have no fear of the masses. Anybody who knows me. And one of the things I get, people say all the time, you're the nicest guy. You're the nicest guy. I'm thinking, I guess I am.
By the way, you guys, if you want to follow him on social media, go to @JohnnyD233. Let me make sure I got my readers. 23.
Johnny D23.
Oh, yeah.
I would change it on Twitter, but I can't. But everything else is at the Johnny D Show or John D. Domenico.
Have you always wore glasses? Because I just started getting these. And literally, dude, I thought that said Johnny D233 until I put these on. And then it's clearly 23.
I've worn glasses. I had a speech impediment when I was a kid. I wore glasses and I had a lazy eye. So I wore a patch. I was just a 5-year-old bundle of joy. Luckily, I could do voices.
Is that why you developed a sense of humor and humor?
Yeah, it's my defense mechanism. You know, I grew up in a really stressful household. My parents fought constantly. You know, he was a hardworking guy. He was a steel worker and worked 5 days a week at the plant, and then worked on the weekends cutting grass and doing landscaping, which he brought me in when I was like 11 or 12. But it was, it's the 60s and things were tough and there wasn't a lot of money. And my defense mechanism was making people laugh, you know, doing voices for my neighbors, because we lived in a row home neighborhood and everybody sat out, and I would come out and do Ed Sullivan. I'd watch Ed Sullivan or Mike Douglas or whatever show. And now right here in our show, the fabulous Garbacho Brothers and Girl Scout Troop 625, girls stand up and show us your cookies. So I would watch a comedian and then I would just come out and do their act. So, and when I got into first grade, they said, yes, you definitely have a speech impediment. And they diagnosed me. And then I spent 8 years doing speech therapy 2 times a week for 8 years. And that was a huge help in making me understand the mechanics of voice and how sound is produced and how I can manipulate my vocal cords and do all of these different voices. And a lot of things are in your genetic range. I used to do a Wayne from Wayne's World in 91. All right, excellent. Hi, I'm Wayne Campbell from Aurora, Illinois. Swing. all right. And then once I knew I could do that voice, once he started doing some of his other voices, I was like, well, I'm already doing that voice. I can do Austin Powers, or I can do this, or I can do the Love Guru, or whoever else.
Now, were you bullied?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. This was a time of bullying. I mean, my brother Michael and I sat down one night, and we came up with a list of 20 guys who were bullies. You know, guys who would sucker punch you in the back of the head, beat you up on the bus. It was tough. You know,
what town? Like, paint the picture.
Ambler, Pennsylvania.
That's Amish, isn't it?
No, not even close. We're literally right outside of Philadelphia.
Where's the Amish place?
Oh, that's Lancaster. That's further north. We were the town where Keesby and Madison. It's the largest maker of what's the stuff that causes cancer?
Everything.
The stuff that they used to put in walls. And they find asbestos. Largest producer. Well, the town's a super fun site.
I did
no
joke,
by the way. Yeah. So it was a town that was a factory town, because this is where they made asbestos, and the plant built all the houses and manages houses and workers' houses and everything. And that's where we grew up. My dad worked at a steel plant, but the town was a company town that made asbestos. So it was tough. It was a tough period of time. It was a different time in our history. There's anti-bullying now, but back then that was just life. Getting your ass kicked was part of life, especially when you were outnumbered 5-6 to 1. Do you
think if you're able to spank your children versus not allowed to touch them, it will affect how the children behaves when they grow older? I
myself, I don't have kids. I don't know. I would think, my father was into, physical punishment. But I know that fusing something physically sure makes you remember it a lot more.
Yeah. Well, I got my ass beat with a belt, and, it worked.
Yeah. Literally the fear of God.
But back then, dude, like the school would ask your parents, dude, is it okay if we swat them? And my dad would say, yeah, it's okay if you swat them. And so like when I'm in school and there's a teacher with a paddle and you knew you'd get your ass smacked right in front of the class, dude, it caused you to pay attention, and it caused you to not, let's just say, rethink things. Real quickly. Consider this.
It
makes you consider things.
I did not go to Catholic school. We were Catholic, but but a lot of my friends.
I wasn't Catholic either. This is a public school.
No, but the Catholic schools, basically you signed off, like the nuns are going to hit you and they're going to whack you with the ruler. And I had plenty of friends who actually went through that. My brother, Steven, he did go to Catholic school because he was a disciplinary issue.
Do you think, like, because there's a lot of people out there that would call that abuse, and like they're fighting for you smack your kid's ass, that's abuse. And then there's obviously old school people like me that, I don't swap my little kids because like I love them too much and I'm a softie.
Right.
I should be beating their asses. Right. They'd be behaving a lot better. I truly believe that. But then there are parents that do smack their, use a belt and smack their ass. But there's so many people split on that. I'm just wondering, like, if we did a test, what kid would grow up more, I don't want to say civil, but like, well-behaved? Is it the ass beater or the freaking good talking to her?
Right. Yeah. How do you talk to a 5-year-old?
Never works for me.
Let's sit down and talk about this. You shouldn't have done that.
It never worked for me, man.
Yeah.
And you said earlier in my office, like you said, my dad freaking would punch me. Well,
yeah.
Like, dude, that's too far. In my
he
opinion.
was too far. No, he was too far. He was like a physically
punch you with like his fist.
He literally one time at dinner, he punched me so hard in the face that I hit the paneling and my head broke through the paneling. He was
Is he still living?
No, he passed away. It was
Did
a World
you guys
War
have
II
a good
veteran.
relationship?
No, it was,
Yeah, see that ain't fucking discipline, and that ain't teaching you shit. That's abuse, if you ask me.
Right. Yeah. I listen, he had a tough life growing up. I'm much more accepting of him. What I did was he had get pancreatic cancer. And when we knew, and this is 90, but I knew he had very limited time to live. And I did an interview with him, and it changed my perspective of who he was. Not that I accept what he did to me or my brothers or my sisters, but it was he suffered. He was World War II. They literally were stuck on the front lines. They couldn't even come back. He had been wounded multiple times, and it was really tough to hear. Like, I've never experienced what he experienced. And again, I'm not, condoning anything he did, but when you hear, like, we couldn't eat, there was no food, we thought we were going to die. People were being shot all around us. They felt they'd been abandoned because, they'd been out for so long, and he was in the Pacific Theater. It's just, it's holy God. And he never talked about it until like 3 weeks before he passed away. And I shot this video.
Well, I think he probably realized that smacking you guys all those times was wrong.
Yeah.
And he probably said, I want their sympathy, so I'm going to tell them why I did it, which is not why he did it. But I bet you he was like, that's him. That's his coming clean. That's his apology.
Yeah. Yeah. And and I know from the conversations, he was just frustrated. He was frustrated. He wasn't articulate as he wanted to be. I noticed, like, in the garage, he would make artwork sometimes or jewelry. And I think he just felt trapped, and there was a lot of frustration in him and a lot of anger. And I get really angry. I have a super short fuse. I try to really be cognizant of that. And
how old were you when he smacked you like that?
I was probably 13 or 14 when he, because the slap and the belt just kind of, not that I ever got used to the belt, but at some point as we got physically larger, my brothers and I, he kind of accommodated our growth with more intense.
What about your mom?
She was, we had the cops at our house a lot.
But did she do what she was told? Or she'd get popped too?
No. There was a lot of police, a lot of domestic issues.
Did she try to back you guys up, or was she abusive too?
Oh no, she wasn't abusive of us. She was really sweet, and she was like my first audience, and she listened to all my jokes, but she had her issues too, obviously. Yeah,
but if I'm watching my little girls and my wife punched them in the face,
I could clearly hear
that would only happen once around me.
She was. You have to remember, if somebody's willing to punch their son in the face, you're next. So, you can have a reaction, but don't make it too big. So,
and then that's another thing. Like, people always ask me,
you get like freak, people are like, oh boy, okay, let's chill.
Well, dude, I'm glad that didn't affect you, because there's a lot of people out there that they're living on the street, or they're doing something way worse. And when you ask them, guess what? Their parents were abusive. My dad used to bust me in the mouth, and they're using that as an excuse and allowing it to limit their ability in the future when they're not connected. How did you figure out that those aren't connected?
I figured out, it sounds simplistic, but watching TV as a kid, that I was like, oh, there's another world out there. There's another place out there, and I want to be there. I want to be an actor. I want to be a comedian. I want to live my life to the fullest. I want to, I always say it's a moral imperative to maximize who you are, to reach, to at least have some goals. If you have a talent, whatever it is, I'm very lucky. I'm able to make a living at doing what I'm doing. And if I don't want to do it and sit in a bar and drink myself to death, which my brother did, unfortunately. He was an alcoholic. You can go that route, but life is to be lived. And if you've got something to give, which we all do, then you have to give it.
Say that again.
I got a bomb. Life is to be lived. And it's out there for the taking. It is truly out there for the taking. We live in a time where there's people like you and Grant Cardone and Tony Robbins and everybody, Mel Robbins, all these people, they want to help you, show you the way. to live a better life, to be who you want to be. If you want to be rich, there's a path for that. If you want to be a great artist, there's a path for that. You know, we've lived for thousands and thousands of years with no pathway to these things. And I used to say to my brother, George, I said, you know, if you want to be an alcoholic, be the greatest alcoholic, but don't lie to me and tell me you want to get better when you do nothing. We live in a time in history. If you're an alcoholic, you're a heroin addict, you're a meth addict, whatever it is, there is a roadmap out and there is a proven way to do it. You know, all of us can get whatever we want in life, but don't lie to yourself and don't lie to the people around you who love you.
Well, that's good advice. Problem is people don't understand what it means. Like, in other words, if I had this problem and like, man, hey, and I'm reaching out to you,
right,
and I'm saying to you, man, I really want to stop, man. I really want to stop. And then you say something like, you know, don't lie to me. I think it puts them in a position of confrontation.
Oh, that does. Yeah, that does. What I'm saying is, like, listen, if you can go to AA meetings, you can do AA online, you can do AA on the phone, you can read a book, there's a lot of ways. That's a little further down the line when you get to the point where you have to be confrontational.
When you've told them everything.
When you've told them everything.
And it hasn't worked.
Yeah, and you're watching someone you love destroy their lives.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it is a choice.
Yeah.
It's tough, but it's a choice. And there's answers out there. So anyone that wants to stop drinking, stop doing drugs, stop stealing, you know, the ones I like the best are the ones that say they're addicted to porn and sex, like they're sex addicts. That'd be the best one, I think, if you were an addict. Well, as long as you could get laid, because if you were an addict and you couldn't get laid, well, then that's the most dangerous, dude. You turn into one of them whack jobs.
Right.
But like, imagine being addicted to sex and able to get it as often as you like. Like, you know, that wouldn't be such a bad freaking addiction, would it? Would it?
Anything's an addiction once it starts becoming detrimental to your life, your health, your income, all of those things. Then it's an addiction.
So, dude, let me ask you this. You get paid a shit ton of money to do those cameo appearances.
Yeah.
If you guys want him to do any cameos, dude, go to Cameo and look him up. But he'll send messages to people. He'll break up with people for you. He'll freaking Trump.
I'll fire somebody for you.
He can literally fire one of your team. Just send him the email.
Yeah,
he'll
birthdays,
pop up.
anniversaries, you name it.
But that's what I'm going to do, dude. I'm going to start. You know what we should do? We should come in here, dude. I'm serious about this.
Good.
We should come into the studio and film 1,000.
Oh, you mean pre-made?
Termination? Yeah.
Oh,
and then my system will deliver, track, and measure the termination, or the appreciation, or the congratulations, welcome aboard,
right,
or whatever. And then the company just uses the system because, dude, the video itself's cool, but now if the employer said, or the employee said, oh, they said this in a video and they fired me and it was rude, and the press got a hold of it, or some of these freaking idiots that are going to complain about everything.
Right.
You've got it right here. So I'm making a real termination video, fully compliant with every law that we abide by, but funny as fuck.
Who says it can't be funny?
Dude,
Exactly.
Listen, if I had a series of your videos that would apply to anything I needed to do around here as a fucking employer, and it wasn't too much money, because it's almost a novelty, but guess what?
Right.
A lot of people like novelty.
Right, you need novelty.
Look at fucking pool noodles. So like, I would pay to say, hey, listen, we're going to have to let go of so-and-so.
Right.
Well, I don't want to do it. You don't want to do it. Here, let's just send them an email and let Johnny, let Johnny
Hello,
pop
Chuck.
up.
How are you? I'm tremendous. Listen, I've got some good news and some bad news. Good news is you're going to have a lot more free time.
Hey, hold it, because it's interactive. You could say, which one you want first?
Right. Oh, my God.
Give me the bad news. What is the bad news?
Well, the bad news is you're no longer coming into the office, and there's someone standing behind you to walk you out of the building. The good news is you're going to have a lot more free time. Isn't that great? We can golf together. Come to Mar-a-Lago. Initiation's only $250,000. Oh, never mind. You're unemployed.
That's a viable product, Johnny. What do you think?
I think it's a great product.
I think
The perfect product.
How many of your friends call you Johnny?
A couple of people, it's always been John, but
Never Jonathan.
I'm not a Jonathan.
Really?
My father was a Giovanni, so I'm a John, John. Yeah. Jonathan's literally a different name.
Yeah, it's Jonhathn usually.
Yeah, but it's derived from the etymology of the name is different.
Yeah, but a lot of Jonathans go by John.
Oh, Jon. Yeah. I could have been Geo. It should have been Geo.
Well, if I were a Bill, a John, a Tom, there's only a few. I would be the E version of it, like Tommy.
Yeah.
I if my name was Tom, I wouldn't go by Thomas. I'd say, Tommy, what's up? Call me Tommy. And then I'd go Billy over the Bill. And then what was the other one? Tommy, Billy. What was the other one? The E.
Tommy, Billy.
Johnny. Yeah.
Johnny D. My fraternity brothers call me Johnny.
But I wouldn't be Timmy. I wouldn't do Timmy. If my name was Tim. Timmy sounds like a little kid. Hey,
it is funny. Yeah.
But there's some MYs that you won't, and then some MYs that you would, and I think should, like Richard. I know Richards that literally go by Dick.
In this day and age, kills me.
I was on a cruise. I meet this dude. He's a pretty cool dude. It turns out to be his name's fucking Dickie McGee. Dude, his name's Dickie McGee. Dickie.
Is he from the South?
Yes,
because I can't see. Yeah, I can't see somebody from the North being called Dickie.
No, his name's not Dickie. It's Richard McGee.
But the nickname.
Yeah, and I'm just meeting him on this cruise line, and I said, dude, like, tell me the truth. You don't want to be called Dickie, do you?
Dickie.
And he said, oh yeah. He loved the name Dickie.
Right.
And I'm like, dude, if I was Richard, I wouldn't be calling myself Dick. Would you?
No. Dickie's probably like his grandfather's name and his great-great-grandfather's name.
Yeah, he
Beauregard Dickie.
He owned it proudly, but I don't care. Like, if my name's Richard, I'm not going by Dick. Just call me Dick. Well, I wonder where Dick came out of Richard.
I never understood how that breaks off.
It was probably some dude named Richard that was a fucking dick. And everyone just kept saying, who? Dick? And then fucking the guy's like, dude, I guess that would be
a funny video. The history of Dick. Where did Dick come from?
One of these days, I want to get back into the old acting biz.
Yeah.
Not acting, but almost skit acting.
Yeah, sketch.
That makes it more sketch. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Where they do the skits?
Yeah.
Why do they call skits sketches?
Skits I think comes from a vaudeville term. Sketches is more from the sketch comedy of the 50s and 60s. It was they're almost interchangeable.
Who do you think the best actor today is?
Best actor today? Wow. I'm really a big fan of Bryan Cranston and what he did with Breaking Bad and everything subsequently.
Well, Bryan Cranston, I'd have to agree.
His LBJ was just...
Is he small?
No, I actually have a photo with him. He's what I call it comes up in conversation. He's one of these, he's pretty tall with an incredibly thin body or slender body with this big noggin on top. It's like when you meet like Kevin Bacon or somebody or...
Is he small?
No, but they all have this weird body. I say weird because I'm built like, a fire hydrant. But I met Joe Mantegna, had a wonderful dinner with him one time.
Is he small?
No, tall too. They're all pretty much the same height and the same build.
How tall are you?
And I call it, I'm 5'8". These guys are
Well, everybody's tall to you then.
Everybody. I have to reach up at night to get my toothbrush. But all these guys, I call it the leading man body. They are all at least 6 foot tall. They're all really thin's not the right word, like slender, and they're just tall and slender. And when you see them on camera, they look normal. When you see them in person, you're like, holy God, that person's just really, really thin.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. But I always found out they were short too. So like
some people like Michael J. Fox, certain actors are
a
shorter.
lot of them. Like, I used to watch 90210. Well, there was Brian Austin Green. There was frickin' Luke Perry. There was frickin' what's Brandon's name? I forget his name. Jason Priestley.
They're not tall?
No.
Wow.
And then like you would run into people and then you're like, damn, they're short. Like Joe Rogan, dude, he looks regular height, right?
Right.
He's short.
He's like my height, right?
I'll bet you he's less, he's shorter than you.
Really?
I can almost bet.
Huh.
Let's see.
Let's find out.
Let's Google.
Somebody asked me to do a Joe Rogan impression, so I have to start working on that.
How tall is Joe Rogan? Let's see.
Joe Rogan is 5 feet 7 inches tall.
Oh, he's inch shorter than me.
One is shorter than you. So that's not too short.
Yeah, but he looked,
Dude, to me, if you're a dude and you're like 5'4" and below, you're short.
I remember years ago, I was working on like doing background work on Rocky 3 or 4 or 5, whatever it was. And Stallone, comes into shot and he's, and you're like, oh my God, like this guy's really small height wise.
That's another good one.
Yeah. And on top of that, he was wearing like cowboy boots.
Willie Ames was in here yesterday. Mm-hmm. Willie Ames.
The great Willie Ames.
Willie Ames, bro.
Right.
When I was growing up.
8 is enough.
Willie Ames was on like freaking Tiger Beat and freaking, He was like, Rob Lowe and Willie Ames and John Stamos and Scott Baio and all those fools. He was one of them. And they're all, when you look at them all lined up, they all look about the same.
Right.
Well, he's short. How tall is Willie Ames?
You'll need to unlock your iPhone. You don't have anyone in your Find My list.
Siri, how tall is Willie Ames?
You don't have anyone in your Find My list.
Siri, how tall is Joe Rogan?
Joe Rogan is 5 feet.
See, is it because Willie Ames is long since gone? Hold on, let's.
Oh my God!
How tall is John D. Domenico?
You'll need to unlock your iPhone first.
How tall is Grant Cardone?
You'll need to unlock your iPhone first.
How tall is Donald Trump?
Donald Trump is 6 feet 3 inches tall.
Why? I'm not doing anything different.
Why is it? I
think it's like easily recognizable names she finds, but anything that's even kind of not necessarily freaking world known, she won't grasp it. I like Alexa better than Siri. How about you?
Well, the response time is 10 times. I can never get Siri to work.
Siri pisses me off. She's cost me 5 phones.
5 phones?
Yeah, because like I'm driving and I'll say, Siri, do this. And she'll be like, doing completely the opposite. And I'll be like, Siri, do this, doing completely the opposite. And then I'll be like, okay, and I'll try it 5 different ways. And I've fucking thrown the phone out the window. Like I have an anger issue with the Siri sometimes.
It is amazing how I said something, I asked something and it came back. Somehow the word came back and I was like, I did not say that.
I got new sound effects.
Oh, good. You got the sound effects.
See, I should be ready with you on here.
Right. I think last time I did Columbo for you, if I remember correctly. There we go. Hey, I got to tell you, I go tough all over.
Dude, Dangerfield was one of my faves.
Oh,
who is your fave?
Well, there's different. He was, he did a lot of one-liners.
Who's your fave to do? You got movie characters. You got Austin Powers, Captain Jack Sparrow, Dr. Evil, Inspector Clouseau, Sean Connery. Clouseau. Dude, that's a long time ago. Who the fuck still knows who Inspector Clouseau is?
Nobody, but
take him off your list.
Well, as someone who's a fan of, you're absolutely right. But
who's the love guru?
It was Mike Myers' film that bombed, Guru Shitka.
How come you don't have Borat in here? He's the easiest one to do.
Yeah, I can do Borat, not very nice,
Anyone can do Borat.
Anybody can pretty much do Borat. I've been working on like Nick Cage. Hi, I'm Nick. He's got that great sound in his voice. And
do you feel
Freeman?
Do you feel that when you start to do a voice, you have to do the exaggerated version first?
I have to. Yeah, you play with it, and you're Ozzy Osbourne, man. You're gonna find where he is, Sharon. Yeah, I mean, like I'm trying to find like where is he in the range? Is he, like sometimes when Ozzy talks, he's really, really low.
Now, not that I have a bunch of telling or, let's say, repeatable traits. Like, in other words, Trump sounds like Trump. What do I sound like to you?
You know, it's funny because when we were first in here last time, I was trying to figure out like where you're, because I always like to do the homework. Like, where's the person from?
Yeah.
And where are you from?
Originally?
Yeah.
My mother's vagina.
Okay. So that's the
But
South. That's the South.
Yes. And, you know, the neighbor was an asshole, so I figured I'd head out of there and ended up in Cottage Grove, Oregon. After that,
because there's a weird like southernness.
It says that, but it's Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, it's weird because I'm listening to your voice and your middle throat. You're kind of like a middle throat kind of guy, but you do project your voice a little bit when you speak. So you've got kind of that manly kind of thing going on.
What should I do?
Well, that's great. You got a great voice, you know.
Well,
and
according to whom?
According to anybody who listens to this podcast.
You sound a little like me.
A little bit. I'd have to work on it.
Well, you drop down the what do you call it? Baritone? You drop down here.
Right. Came down like an octave.
Yeah. But I don't think I don't think I'm as slow and
well, you were on that commercial you played for me.
Yeah, but that was intentionally slow. Normal speak.
No, normal voice. You've got, you speak at a pretty good clip.
Yeah, so like I'd have to hear all these, but which one are all these your favorite? Godfather, Groucho Marx, Wayne's World, Columbo, Billy Mays, Crocodile Hunter, Chris Matthews, Dick Clark, Donald Trump, Dr. Phil, Ed Sullivan, Emeril Lagasse, Father Guido Sarducci. Yeah. Again, dude, that's like 100 years ago.
Oh, I know. Well, that's it. You have an old list. I have the updated list.
Oh.
Yeah, that's like an old list. But,
leave it to my team to give me the old outdated list.
They didn't know. You know, I like anybody who's, Austin Powers is obviously a fictitious character that Mike.
You do that, people still know who you're doing.
Oh, it's
if you do Father Carducci.
No one knows.
Yeah,
but Austin Powers is so iconic, and Mike Myers has created this amazing character that's going to stand the test of time. But, obviously with a real person, someone like Trump or someone like Guy Fieri, baby, I'm driving the bus to Flavortown. Love, peace, and taco grease.
See, I don't know if that sounds like him or not.
Right, because, everything's so fractionalized now. One of the things that's hard with doing impressions nowadays, unless they're like a really well-known person, it's...
You sounded more like Dan Bongino.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
Is that his name, Bongino?
Yeah, the guy on Fox.
Yeah, and his podcast, Dan Bongino.
He's here, right?
What about that guy? You should go do the guy that's the big conspiracy guy, Alex.
Oh, Alex Jones. Yeah.
Yeah. Alex Jones.
Someone asked me to do him, so I have to work on him.
Dude, I want to know if what Alex Jones is saying is fucking real or not. Cause like, dude, if all that shit, he seems passionate, dude. And usually you can tell the authenticity of somebody's belief by their passion. Like it doesn't look like he's bullshitting you.
Right.
It looks like he believes all those things.
Right.
And if he does believe them so thoroughly, then doesn't that make you want to listen? So I listen to what he's saying. And then I think, fuck, dude, if this is real. And by the way, it's totally possibly to be real. Don't you think?
I don't know. I've heard enough of his stuff.
That's called cognitive or what bias is that? Where that's a bias right there. I don't think it's a bias.
When you say that a mass shooting wasn't real, and you've got grieving parents and congressional hearings and all these things that are factual that really did happen, and someone says it didn't happen, and then that person is sued and then loses in court, like. It's been adjudicated, and you've got a couple of hundred people.
Is that what he did once or something?
Yeah, he said the shooting in Connecticut wasn't real. It was staged.
Oh, the Sandy Hook thing?
Yeah, it's like, It's not staged, dude. Like, people are dead. Children died.
Yeah. Why would anyone stage that?
It doesn't like...
Have you seen the freaking crisis actors? See, that's what I mean. Like sometimes you take a deeper look. Of course, I don't believe that one either. Sandy Hook was someone went in there with a gun and freaking thankfully somebody else had a gun.
Right.
But that one I didn't even like pay attention to in 5 seconds. But a lot of people will, like, for example, Michelle Obama is really Michael. Have you heard that? Yeah. So you go start doing the Google, and now somebody could have put Michelle's face on that old Michael, and
you can fake anything.
Right. So if that's a fake picture, then idiots believe that it was a fake picture. Then you're just gullible, or man, hey, I saw the picture. because like your app that makes you look just like freaking Arnold, dude. I wouldn't have known that wasn't Arnold.
Right.
So I see that, like, I don't believe it and I don't not believe it. Why? Well, because anything's possible, but I don't necessarily believe it. Why?
Right.
Well, they got kids. They're not their kids.
Right. Then all of a sudden, like at a certain point, these things fall apart.
Yeah, this is all a show.
Right.
That's a clone.
Right.
Biden, and by the way,
They planned this 40 years ago.
I know, but like even this morning, I'm sitting there and I see a picture of Biden and you see his ear and it's one of those earlobes that go right into the head, right? There's no lobe and there's no, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then that's before he was elected. It shows you footage of him before and he's got the ear that goes in with no lobe. Then it shows him at his inaugural speech and they're zooming in on the same ear. And now all of a sudden it's got a lobe. It's a different ear. Now I'm sitting there going, dude, see again, someone could doctor that shit just so you're dumb enough to believe it. But at the same time, if that's real, bro, explain the different ear. Explain the freaking alien footage. Explain the fact that they want to redact shit out of freaking Fauci's emails.
even the government can't figure out what those UFOs are.
Oh, and then Obama basically saying straight up, guys, we are aware of flying objects that we cannot explain. Okay? We cannot explain them. That's Obama saying that.
Oh, no, I saw. It's fascinating.
And now you've got government officials coming out saying, yes, this footage
is real.
The U.S. Navy is saying is authentic footage of an object flying so fast and cutting corners. Impossible.
40,000 miles per hour.
Yeah, impossible for us to do. And there's yet footage of glowing triangles moving, in these ridiculous
things. Oh, it's fascinating.
So what's up?
Right. But I remember...
why does nobody care, John?
I think we're all being inundated with so much stuff right now. Because
you don't believe it.
No, it has nothing to do with it. I believe it.
So how come nobody gives a shit there's fucking aliens?
I think everyone's dealing with so much other stuff. I'm amazed. I think it'd be great if they showed themselves and landed. I think it would be amazing.
Dude, if you could choose right now that those aliens land and come out, would you want that?
Oh, absolutely.
Assuming that they're friendly.
Absolutely. And you know why?
Because dude, keep in mind, if they got those fucking ships that can
40,000 miles per hour,
they're way beyond us, which means if they don't like us, I'll bet you anything we dematerialize.
Have you read the book Communion about all the people who've been abducted and probed?
No.
And this has been going, that's fascinating stuff. But I think one of the things that would unite this country and this planet is if aliens showed up. And I think we'd be able to put aside a lot of the crap and distractions.
Only if they're evil.
Right.
If we have to unite, in the movie Independence Day, when he's fucking, who can fly? And old Dennis, what's his name?
Dennis Quaid, who's running for president. I'll have to work on my Dennis Quaid.
He says fucking.
Randy Quaid, pardon me. Randy
Quaid, he says, I'm a pilot. I can fly. He was like a drunk crop duster. And he's the one that ended up taking that fighter jet up the alien ship's ass.
Yeah, now see, that'll bring people together.
Yes, but that's because they're against us.
Right.
But I would love it if they weren't.
Right.
Because they would come down in the masses. Just imagine, dude. Go outside your house and there's an alien ship somewhere near you and they are there wanting to talk to us, wanting to share their technology, wanting to show us that we don't need bombs and we don't need weapons and we don't need money and we don't need food and we don't need shelter. We need whatever they're showing us and they're helping us and come to find out we're their experiment, man. They put us here. And then, oh my Lord, well, now what with all the Christians and the Buddhists and the people that, don't agree with that. It would freak everybody out. I don't know why that's such a bad thing. Why do you think the government wouldn't want us to know up until now? And why now? It's been a secret for 100 years. Do you believe in Roswell?
I believe something. Yeah.
Area 51?
20 years ago, there was an Alaska flight, and this was on the cover of the New York Times. It was easily 20 years ago where the pilot, the co-pilot, and someone else was in the cockpit. And even people on the flight were they saw 3 ships. It was plain as day. And I remember thinking they're obviously here and people are allegedly being taken and probed. There's something going on there, and there's obviously different types because you got the Tic Tac spaceships, and you have the triangle spaceships, and you have all these other things, and think through history that have been unexplainable. They obviously intervene at certain times, and other times they do nothing.
Well, according to the shit I read, they intervene when it comes to us fucking around with nuclear weapons.
Right.
Like there's been a lot of incidences at nuclear facilities where as soon as they arm it or do anything, they those things appear and like shut them down. It's almost like they don't want us to blow ourselves up.
Right.
Okay, so if that's true, well then they're friendly, and then they need.
That's a good point.
Then they need to hurry up, man. Get down here. Let's freaking party.
Wrap it up.
Well, at the end of the day, man, people struggle in life, don't you think?
Yeah, every day.
I don't know why. There's no struggle to it. Right. Well, that's easy for you to say. You've got money, dude. I didn't have money.
No, I know exactly where you're coming from. It came from nothing.
And everybody,
nothing.
Well, everybody wants to act like, I got lucky or I got this, and I did, and you can too. Like anyone can get lucky. Everyone is lucky.
Right.
I got lucky that I had a perspective a little bit different than most people's. Like most people, like you said earlier in my office, they don't want to face problems, and that's where the opportunities are. I would see opportunity in adversity.
Right.
I would see opportunity. I would see challenges. I would see games, puzzles, like and most people see problems and pain and suffering, and they avoid them deathly, and then they ask everybody, how come I can't catch a break? How come I don't get all these opportunities like these people? And it's like, because you're running from them.
Right. Going back to my father, he instilled a couple of things.
That's a good one. They're running from them.
They're running away.
Going back to your father. I saw you got a little emotional about that.
No, it did. Because it started.
But my question is that because for so long you guys didn't talk, and then? No,
I mean, we talked. He just, he wasn't a very articulate guy, but he was, he fed us and clothed us and wanted me to succeed. And,
but he punched instead of spanked.
Right. He was inarticulate, and he only knew this.
Yeah. Which doesn't make him a bad dude. It made him he could be cruel. Well, you know what I mean? Yeah. Anyway, back to him.
But he always said to me, he said a couple of things that really resonated with me. He said, no one owes you anything. They don't even owe you an opportunity. Because people are like, well, give me a chance. And some people go, yeah, I'll give you a chance. Some people won't. Sometimes you've got to make your own chance. You've got to make your own movie or make your own TV show or, do something. And there's so many great examples of that. But, Stallone couldn't get in a movie. So he writes Rocky. And they're like, oh, this is great. We'll take it. And he's like, well, I want to be the star. And they're like, no way, dude. You've never been in a movie before. But he stuck to his guns. So there's ways to move ahead, to be dirt poor and to grow and to figure out what's the best way to move forward. You don't have to you can fall into your failure and fall in oh, why me? And all these things. Why not you? Why not you? There's billions of people on this planet. And the other thing was, and I came to realize this a little later in life, no one's coming to help you. No one's coming to rescue you. No, all these things, only you have to rescue yourself. You have to help yourself. You were talking about there's people you're helping, and they can't help themselves.
See, you just said people, and it was a little trumpet.
A little bit of people,
yeah.
A little bit of people.
A little bit of people.
A little bit of people. A little bit of people.
Well, it's true, but I almost disagree with no one's coming to rescue you. No one's coming to save you. They're coming, but you have to freaking open your eyes and your minds and your wallets and your doors and your, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah.
Because they are there. Like,
to clarify that, you've got to do something. You've got to get the energy
which
moving.
Boils back to you, which is why I kind of disagree with ain't no one coming to save you. Bullshit, dude. I'm saving motherfuckers every day.
Oh, you are.
And not only that, dude, like, look, I tell people, dude, I can save you from drowning, bro, but you got to swim towards me. Like, I'm not going after you.
Perfect.
Come this way, dude.
Yeah.
Go like this. Okay. Tread water for a minute. But most people, fuck you if you can't help me now. Fuck, you know, that's the part I don't get their mentality. And that's where I'm lucky. I didn't get that growing up. Maybe it's because my dad, you know, ignored me.
Right.
I don't want to say ignored because he didn't ignore, but there was no lovey-dovey catch in the front fucking yard. Right. He didn't say, come here, little buddy. I sure missed you today. I love you, buddy. You can do anything, man. You're the little superstar, man. He didn't do any of that.
Right.
He'd come home, not really say much, but he wasn't mad at us. He didn't like glare at us, but he'd just walk by like we weren't fucking there.
Right.
And then he'd talk to my stepmom, who, you know, since I was 2, was the mom. And then he'd go upstairs, get in his little freaking lounge chair and turn on the TV and flip off his fucking shoes. And he didn't want to be bothered. And he definitely didn't want to hear no fucking kid making noises. So if you made noise, he was quick to say, fucking shut the fuck up.
Yep.
And if you didn't, then he would get up, take off his belt. And 9 times out of 10, that's all it took. He never really had to spank us. But if it was a serious offense or something like that, bam, dude, blistered ass, fucking, you know, put your hand back there. It'll bruise your hand, bruise your arm. It didn't matter. And dude, I just think that it worked because we behaved a lot better knowing we were going to get our asses beat. Nowadays, there's no beating kids' ass. Now that doesn't mean they're all going crazy,
right?
But it means maybe some of these super predators or whatever they're called, these people that are just fucking out of control. Do you think an ass beating would have helped those people? Do you think? Because again, dude, you turned out. Do you think maybe you turned out because you know if your dad was going to punch you in the face, you freaking reacted. It wasn't like, I don't care, punch me in the face.
Wouldn't that have been a great attitude?
Ideally,
yeah.
Ideally, you know,
it was the, you know, going back to, I had no idea what his work was like. Like, he worked in a steel factory, in a steel plant. It was noisy. I didn't even come to realize this until, you know, like, I'm now older and I'm like, God, shut up. You know, you want quiet, and he was in a plant all day. And I ended up, you know, going there, touring it years later. It was so fucking loud, and it's all day long, 35 years. And he comes home and we're a bunch of kids, you know, just bouncing off the walls. And I get years later, like, if it had been explained to us, like, hey, your dad just needs some quiet time just to decompress when he gets home. But we didn't get that. We got the coming out of the lazy boy like a bullet with the belt in the hands, you know? So a little communication may have helped along those lines, because we still, even though he hit us, we never understood like why that component was missing. And, you know,
is George older or younger?
George was from my mom's first marriage, and he was 9 years older than me.
Did he ever kick your ass?
No, he wasn't like that.
That's because that age is a little bit too like, you know,
yeah.
You don't have 12-year-olds beating up 2-year-olds.
Right. Yeah.
But once you're 12, they're 19, you know, that's a gap.
Yeah. It's a big gap. He was somewhat like a father figure.
Yeah. But you get kids that are 6 and 8, 8 and 10, 10 and 12, 12 and 14, 14 and 16. They're going to fight.
Oh, we fought all the time. And
they're going to beat your ass. Now, see, again, my dad, even though he ignored us, you weren't allowed to beat my ass. I was the youngest, and I was a runt growing up. I didn't start, you know, springing up till about the 9th grade.
Right.
So the funny thing is my brothers weren't allowed to kick my ass, but on the weekends, he would tell my brothers to get on their knees, put on boxing gloves, and let me fight them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And what was funny is that I always bop them in the nose and make their nose bleed, but they weren't allowed to hit me.
That's great.
I know. Did that help me or hinder me? See, this is why I want to go back.
I mean, to me, that seems very, very smart on your father's behalf.
See, I mean, it's just like, to me, it's like, was that an accident or was that intentional? Like, because I know he wasn't a bad dude, but he just wasn't a loving dude. One time he came down here, dude. I had grandkids. He has never seen them before. He came down here. I pick him up from the airport. I'm like, hey, so I'll drop you off to the hotel, get ready. And then like later I'll pick you up for dinner. We'll go over here and then we'll go to my house, see the kids and da. And he's like, okay. Then the whole time there was always an excuse as to what he was doing that Nah, well, you know, we're going to go here and do this and hang out with our friends there, and let's do that tomorrow. And okay, we'll see you tomorrow. And it was all the way to the very end. Never came over. Who does that? Weird, isn't it?
Wow.
So
he never saw your kids?
when I went up there once, he did, and he played with them, and he was like a grandpa one time. But when he came here, 7 days went by, and we hadn't seen him for a long time. 7 days went by where you would think he'd want to go see me.
It's not that big of a town.
I know, but you'd think he'd want to see me and his grandkids.
Yes. You'd be thinking it'd be like the primary thing.
Yeah, and again, there's nothing wrong with our relationship. We didn't get in a fight. He's not disappointed. In fact, the opposite. Right. Maybe he doesn't like it because I outperformed him. In other words, I'm successful and he never was.
You're hugely successful.
Well, he tried. There was a quick little entrepreneurial bout when he owned a couple businesses and we were getting big, and then he got his ass handed to him on a lawsuit and quit, gave up. So never give up. How about you with the acting? Did you already give up? Did you already think you're going to give up one time?
Well, I've thought about quitting all the time.
Why though? You're getting paid. You're enjoying it.
Well,
why would you quit?
Well, it's that internal struggle. Listen, it's this thing I have to deal with. It's the component of negativity. Like we were talking about our moms, or, you know, there's always like, oh, this is too hard. I can't do this. This sucks. Whatever it is, 2 hits in a row and 3 failures in a row. But the fact of the matter is, like, this is the life I've chose. And I have to do self-talk. I've got to get like, listen, you know, this is what you've chosen. This is the road you're on. This is what you know best. Stick to the plan. And it always pays off. But there's always, you know, and this is every actor goes through this, every performer. There's ups and downs until you kind of figure out like what's the next thing and how you have to reinvent yourself and lose weight, gain weight, work on more voices. It's a ongoing thing. It never necessarily gets, well, it never gets easier.
You know how you can identify the ones that didn't quit?
They're still in the business.
You can identify them.
Right. There's definitely a last man standing element to acting, to comedy. I know of a lot of people who've dropped out over the years. A lot of women get married, get pregnant, have kids, and never get back in. And they're super talented, but you know, things happen. And same thing with some people that I know, they great comedic guys or actors who get married and their kid might have a issue once they're born, and they've got to get a regular job with insurance, and so then they're out. So there's a lot of things that can take you out.
Yeah, but see, like you just gave a good example. They've got to do this because they had a kid. You don't got to do anything because you had a kid. You got to freaking take care of it, obviously.
Right.
But that was a decision. And that's what people don't understand in my mind, or in my opinion, is when you go through life, there's just a series of decisions. Hey, Johnny, you just had a kid, bro. You better get some real insurance and some real revenue because you can't gamble anymore, bro.
Right.
You have a kid dependent on you. You're right. I better quit. And now you go get a job, and 20 years later, you're just John D. Domenico, the old man down the street who wants you to stay off his lawn.
Right. I could have been big.
Nobody knows who he is because you had a kid. No, it's not because you had a kid. It's because you chose a different path for yourself. You did it.
Yep.
But you'll never say that. People say, no. Oh, he was heading that direction. Then he had a kid and had to get a job. He had to get insurance. You didn't have to do shit. You chose to do it. And folks listening, everything you're doing is a choice as well. So if you're going to make a choice, let's make this one. Follow John D. Domenico. At Johnny23, Johnny D23
on the Twitter.
And I think that's Twitter. Yeah. At Johnny D Domenico Comedy on Instagram.
Right.
Of course, you can just Google him and find him everywhere.
Just find me everywhere.
John D Domenico. John D Domenico, corporate entertainer and character actor, soon to be a television star.
That's right.
Now, folks, if you guys want to freaking hire this dude to make funny ass videos and send them to your friends and fam bam, you can still do that until he gets too big on Cameo. So go book his ass on Cameo. What else you want people to do?
Go to Hulu. If you're on Hulu, watch Let's Be Real. That's the series, the sketch series that I did. I was the voice of Trump on that. And we shot 5 total episodes, and we're hoping to be renewed for the fall.
Yeah, because I see you all the time, and you're on set, and you're walking around sets, and you're working. You're working.
It's the best. Walking around the studios, Desilu, all these places where all this TV history was made. It's fantastic.
Dropping some funny shit, man. You guys need to follow him. If not, share this out, folks. Appreciate you coming in, dude. You're
Brad,
always welcome back here at the Drop Bomb Studio.
This was intense.
Dude, we
dropping some serious bombs.
Hey, what'd you think we were going to talk about?
So what got you interested in acting?
Folks, until next time, keep it real.
Dropping bombs with the real Bradley. Subscribe now.